DC Comics is known for some of the most heroic and famous superheroes of all time, but have you ever sat down and considered how terrifying some of the villains they face are? From wacky villains like Kite Man to the bone-chilling Batman who laughs, DC is the definition of range. What's going on, all you nerdy folk out there? My name is Jack, and join me while we take a look at some of the scariest villains DC has to offer. Coming in at number 10, we are starting with Zoom. This starting off with an obvious choice. Eobard Thawne, also known as the Reverse Flash, or Zoom, is the arch nemesis of Barry Allen and has done a great job at keeping the Scarlet Speedster on his toes. Having worshipped the Flash more than anybody, even going as far as to recreate the reaction that gave Barry his powers, and having an operation done so that he could look like Barry Allen, Thawne wanted nothing more than to meet and befriend his hero. His killing tendency unfortunately came up not too long after that, when he killed the cashier at the Flash Museum so he could use the holy grail of all Flash memorabilia, the Cosmic Treadmill, so he could travel back in time to meet his hero. Unfortunately, there was a miscalculation and he ended up appearing several years after Allen's death. Distraught and upset, Thawne escaped to the Flash Museum to get some answers, only to find out that he was destined to become the Flash's greatest nemesis, Zoom. Needless to say, he did not take that news very well, and this set him down on his dark path. Since then, Thawne has done everything in his power to torment the Flash, going as far as killing his mother and fiancé and so much more. Talk about a quick temper. Number 9 is Dr. Destiny. John Dee was a pretty run-of-the-mill villain for the Justice League by creating tech that was more advanced than most people had ever seen, and thanks to this tech he was able to capture Green Lantern and set traps left and right for the Justice League. However, all this changed after he created the Materiopticon, which allowed him to manipulate and alter reality. He was eventually stopped by the Justice League by making him unable to dream, which in turn robbed him of his powers and drove him even deeper into insanity. Dee also appeared with a much darker reboot in Neil Gaiman's Sandman, where he is seen using his Materiopticon to take over a 24-hour diner to fulfill his sadistic desires and purposes. Number 8, Trigon. Now, I understand that teenage angst is a thing and not having a good relationship with your daughter isn't exactly a crime, but Trigon kinda takes that a little bit too far and ends up being the arch enemy of Raven from Teen Titans. Originally the ruler of an unknown alien planet, Trigon was able to absorb the power of the Heart of Darkness, which granted him an insane amount of power, allowing him to kill the Divine once and for all. Not only are his powers something to marvel, but just look at him. His terrifying demonic appearance already makes him someone that I do not want to mess with. However, I feel I could definitely take that sweater vest wearing Trigon from Teen Titans Go. Number 7, Murmur. Being a fairly new member of the Flash's Rogues, Murmur doesn't really have many appearances in the comics, but by no means does that make him any less terrifying. Dr. Michael Amaro was once a very successful and respected surgeon, until one day he could no longer take the voices in his head caused by his schizophrenia, and decided that a killing spree was the only way to keep them at bay. This spree spread through Central City and Keystone City until he was finally detained by the police with the help of the Flash. With an incredible understanding of human physiology thanks to his many years as a surgeon, and his unique blood type unlike anyone has ever seen, he can't be killed by any lethal injections, this villain is not someone you should mess with. Not to mention, he also cut out his own tongue and sewed his mouth shut. Number 6, Nekron. Lord of the Unliving, and one of the most powerful beings in the universe, Nekron is a manifestation of death and the opposing force of all life itself. Before becoming the Lord of Unliving, we're not entirely sure what or where Nekron was. Rumors have circulated that Nekron is darkness itself, existing before life entirely, and then others say he was created by the darkness as his protector. First appearing in Tales of the Green Lantern Corps number 2 in 1981, Nekron's most terrifying moment was his triumphant return in Blackest Night when he formed the Black Lanterns Corps, who I'll be touching on a little bit later. Thanks to the power of those Black Power Rings and the Black Lantern Central Power Battery, Nekron was able to begin complete and utter devastation to the world during this time. The only thing that was able to take him down was Hal Jordan and the White Lanterns, who together overpowered Nekron by resurrecting the Black Hand, which in turn severs his link with the living plane. With this link gone, his body is completely destroyed and the Blackest Night is over. Number 5, Dr. Death. Now, if that name doesn't already scare you, then hold on to your hats because this villain is truly something. Originally a scientist working for Wayne Enterprises, Dr. Carl Helfern was working on a nanomedicine to try and create a serum to make human bones harden upon impact to prevent breakage. Unfortunately, this project failed and was a large reason that led to Helfern's slow descent into insanity, the other reasons being his son's death and the loss of his job at Wayne Enterprises. Thanks to a later partnership with Edward Nygma, a breakthrough was discovered, and that got the entire process working again, and set him on his path down to, his villain side. With the success of his formula, Helfern injected it into himself, granting him superhuman strength and a regeneration ability. Eventually taking the name Dr. Death, Helfern kills his research group by injecting them with the failed formula, which causes their bone to grow uncontrollably and then rip them apart from the inside out. Dr. Death was eventually and thankfully stopped by Batman, who incapacitated the villain by breaking his bones in such a way that they would grow back irregularly. The sheer pressure and uncomfortability of his new physique led to Halford's death, as his struggle against his own skeleton caused his skull to cave in and crush his brains. Number 4. Crib. Now, despite sounding like a lovely place to keep your baby, this member of the Sinestro Corp is far from that. She targets Green Lantern members who have recently had children, then she'll secrete a poison liquid from her breast to subdue their parents, and then have them watch with their dying breaths as she takes their children and tosses them into her crib-like hunchback. As the parents die, she leaves them claiming she'll raise them as her own as orphans of the Green Lantern Corps. Now, not only is that terrifying, but it's also never really explained why, which, the mystery in that just makes it all the more unsettling. Thankfully, Crib is subdued by Kyle Rayner and is sent to Zamaron to have the Zamarans rehabilitate her. However, it's confirmed later that the rehabilitation technique does not really work on her at all. I guess some aliens just can't be helped. Number 3. Black Hand. William Hand, aka Black Hand, was chosen to be the physical embodiment of death by Guardian Scar, and after killing himself and becoming reanimated, he becomes the leader of the Black Lantern Corps during the Blackest Night. See, I told you we'd circle back. During the Blackest Night, Hand murders each member of his family before killing himself and receiving the Black Lantern ring. With this ring, Black Hand was able to reanimate some of DC's most famous and powerful heroes such as Batman and Superman and so many more. Alongside Necron, Black Hand battles against the heroes of Earth and the Lantern Corps. As stated before, Hand is defeated by Hal Jordan and the White Lanterns after it is revealed that he is Necron's link to the living plane. After he's brought back to life and Necron's defeated, he is then taken by the Indigo tribe, very dazed and confused, and they're set on helping him alter his worldviews, and it seems like it worked. Number 2. Jonathan Crane, aka the Scarecrow. Now, this brilliant psychologist turned supervillain is one of the most terrifying and layered villains in the DC universe. Crane lost his credibility as a psychologist after an experiment gone wrong when he took everything a little bit too far, and then that began his descent into madness. Taking up the name Scarecrow, he uses his immense knowledge of fear and anxiety to mess with his victims and seals the deal with his infamous fear toxin to torture them. When inhaled, this toxin forces the victim to hallucinate and imagine their own worst fear as if it was reality. Just the thought of that completely terrifies me, and that's why I placed him so high on this list. I can't even think about it. And finally, number 1, the Joker. You probably guessed it, but obviously the most terrifying DC villain in my opinion is the Joker. The insane clown prince of crime has been around since the beginning of Batman and is still his arch nemesis. He commits crime for no reason other than his desire to show people how meaningless life is through pain, death, and his signature methods of torture. Constantly flipping between a harmless trickster and a mass murderer, the Joker's mindset is impossible to pinpoint, which makes him all the more terrifying. He seemingly has no morals, willing to go as far as killing Robin, crippling Batgirl, and doing whatever it takes to get the job done, even if it means losing someone on his side. Although there's a lot of mystery around his origins, it is known that he is the way he is because of a chemical accident that ruined his body and mind. Now, despite the Joker being such a prominent villain in the Batman universe, there's so little known about him, and when new information pops up about him, it just makes him all the more twisted and terrifying. Look, I'm all for practical jokes and committing to a bit, but he just takes it way too far. That'll be it for this video, guys. Think I missed some scary DC villains? Why not let me know in the comments below and maybe we'll cover them in another video. Subscribe to Top 10 Nerd to stay up to date on all things nerdy, and make sure to ring that bell to know when our next video goes live. Once again, my name is Jack. Thanks for watching and stay nerdy, my friends.